we asked your economic status since Mr. Modi took charge as PM. Improved, say 35%. Same, say 32. Deteriorated, say 31. So when I add up the two, same and deteriorated, 63% say income status has not changed or has worsened. Now this is objective, Rajat. This is not perceptual, this is objective. Achhe din in that sense have not come economically. Is there a recognition of that or not? Do you believe that polls like this are putting a reality which governments don't recognize, or certainly both at the state and at the central level?
So I can believe these numbers because, again, these are absolute numbers wherein people can judge their own circumstances and sort of tell you whether the situation has improved or not. This is largely on the realistic side and largely also on what was expected. 35 plus 32% is ballparkish 50-60%, which say that situation is either improving or it's the same. Now, I believe that Prime Minister is deeply cognizant of the situation. He understands the material risks that are there by private sector not carrying the fair share of responsibility in terms of job creation. It was already discussed in your panel that they are gobbling up all the profits and not letting their workers take away greater amount of salaries and see their situation improving. This is a beautiful case for going back to corporate rates, tax rates where it were. And I think this is where even the policy thinkers are thinking that we slashed the corporate rates to 15%. And what did we get in return? You're neither investing in the Indian story with that pomp and show that you should have, and now you're passing on the profits to in form of wages to your employees. So clearly, two, three things that the government has to do. They have to ensure, you just now, Trump has tweeted saying that today is a big day on reciprocal tariffs. So he's using the word of reciprocal tariff and trying to corner Prime Minister Modi just prior to the meeting that is going to happen today. So we are in a situation where we are cornered. There's a technological tsunami in form of artificial intelligence coming our way. There are these tariffs, which are these black swan events, which we haven't planned for. And then our domestic, manufacturing isn't picking up to the level it should. How do you create those incremental jobs? It's a difficult problem to crack. And I think the economic advisors of the Prime Minister should be working day and night to ensure that some fix are done to come up with permanent solutions instead of opting for makeshift, which UBI is. I think any kind of a basic income is a lazy policy making, in my opinion. You're not thinking deep. You're just doling out right before the election. That is just lazy politics, lazy policy making.
Well, a lot of the schemes that have won political parties in election can be called lazy when you look at it from an economic perspective. The fact is, when the campaign was going on, they were deemed as being the economic imperative.
No, and I'm just hearing that the Punjab cabinet is likely to finally act on their promise of 1,000 rupees for women. They're trying to, of course, put terms and conditions now, but they are determined to do it. They've realized that had they done it maybe 6 months ago, Mr. Kejriwal would have had a talking point before the Delhi electorate. I think there is pressure on every government.
Rajdeep,
I was speaking to a senior...
Those who say, what is 1,000 rupees? Punjab is a rich state, but look at the stress on those who have promised. Please try to understand, when Shankar said, 800 million people you are giving free ration, maybe half of them do not need it. But you are still looking at staring at 400 million who, if you do not give free ration, are likely to sleep hungry. Big chunk of that population.
I wish it was only about that. No, but Yashwant Deshmukh, I wish it was only about that. Remember, in Maharashtra, the government of Maharashtra woke up to women and the Ladki Bahin scheme 4 months before an election. You see, my worry is in this election cycle, there's even greater pressure. I was speaking to a senior...
Thank God they wake up only 4 months before. If they wake up in the first year of the election, the economy would be bankrupt by the end of the
I was speaking to a senior government official in Maharashtra. He's saying we are having a huge challenge now with budgets coming up to try and find a way in which we are going to control our debt situation.
Rajdeep, we shouldn't be so worried and see so many dark clouds on the horizon. 20 years ago, the state of India's central economy, the state of our state budgets versus today, we have grown. There is more money to give out and to address people at the bottom of the barrel. It is not that bad. Let us not say that everything is going to burn down. No, that's not the case.
I'll just make debt in Maharashtra and counting.
Rajdeep, I'll just make one small point. To the size of the economy as well, Rajdeep. As the economy,
I would just differ in a small way in this sense, that welfareism has a shelf life. at the end of the day,
Not
you
in
and
a
I-
country like
no,
India.
At the end of the day, I will not, and I'm sure a lot of Indians will not want to live off the government. They have aspirations. They don't want to be limited in their income. They see the middle class. We've all grown in prosperity. We all started with cycles. We went to scooters. We have cars now. That is the Indian dream, to grow. If you do not provide that, it's fine. You can, I like what Shankar said earlier, the Band-Aid solutions that are there, or the paracetamol solutions. You do need to find the cure. If you don't, we are in trouble.
Spoken like a good south of the Vindhyas person. I think there is a huge difference. Shankar made the point, north versus south. In North India, it's very
not saying
different.
north versus
I think the approach is very... They want the government...
Rajiv, why do we pillory only India? What is the size of the welfare state in the United States? What is it in the Nordic countries? The moment you have a higher economy, what is Medicaid? It is the largest welfare program in the world that is designed to, perhaps ensure that obese Americans end up remaining obese.
No, but it depends on the nature of the program. I think we've got to make a distinction between an
fundamental
Ayushman
point-
Bharat.
Siddharth,
You have to
Siddharth,
make a distinction between
the
Ayushman
size of
Bharat
the
and
pie,
Latki
the
Bahin.
size of the pie, the size of the economy is important.
But you
Siddharth-
have to make a distinction between a Latki Bahin and an Ayushman Bharat. An Ayushman Bharat is valuable.
What is the alternative? Not give that.
No,
what
but-
happens
but-
to them?
but-
It's valuable. Health
What
insurance.
happens to
No,
women's
no,
health?
but
What
the-
happens to nutrition?
but
There are studies
Quoting
which-
Europe is not accurate because
because they
Europe,
have high tax rates.
That's
Fair
right.
enough.
Let's
fair
be
enough.
very clear.
No, but
That is
also-
Thomas Piketty's argument.
also let's-
But we are on a growth curve, right? We should not compare
we
ourselves
should not.
with a-
My larger point is we should not continue with welfareism to the point that you have left people, with no other option.
But
you
when
have
we-
to give them the
Sir,
aspiration.
our welfareism is someone's existential question.
But when we look at how we are allocating or announcing more and more welfare schemes, we also have to look at where India stands in its economic growth curve.
Absolutely.
We can't compare with Nordic countries or with the developed Western world because their level of per capita income and their ability to spend more on each citizen is much higher. So we have to walk this fine balance. Of course, you want to help those at the bottom of the pyramid. You go overboard, your government piles up debt, which becomes then unsustainable. We were at a dinner with a party from Maharashtra, and they were of the view that they had to scale back on several promises. They'd keep the most prominent schemes. They would have to scale back on, say, the Shiv Bhoj or the Tirth Yatra for senior citizens because they simply didn't have money.
But what this bureaucrat told me at Mantralaya in Mumbai, he says it's huge pressure. You see, the ministers are not, they have to address their constituents who have been promised various things before the election. The bureaucrat is trying to balance the books. There is a fundamental...
Rajdeep, schemes designed by politicians and not by economists have fundamental flaws. The larger question is, does India need to support people at the bottom of the barrel?
Of course it does.
And does it need to do it for many years? Of course.
No,
That's
no one is
point.
disputing that, but I think Rahul made a very good point in terms of what's happening in Maharashtra and others. Take a look at Delhi, Kejriwal. He gives schools, and you see the budget. I've studied the budget. A lot of money is given, 5 times the amount that when he took over. He gives to education, he gives to health. But you take a look at roads. He sanctions 10,000 crores so late, which is last year, and we saw the state of it. You take a look at roads. Every other aspect of development which the middle class wanted, and I know in my own colony that was there, a road had fallen apart and it wasn't repaired for 2 years. Everybody saw, because you spend so much money on one particular aspect of welfare, you were not able to distribute it evenly.
So there
across.
has to be a balance. But
That's right.
one thing which I wanted to say as a misconception, when many people argue on that, but as if the middle class or the people who pay taxes are against the freebies. I'm sorry. They were not, or they are not against things given to the bottom of the pyramid. The reason why you have such a high degree of people saying we should have a uniform income scheme over there, basic income scheme is there, is simply because the middle class was saying, "Niche jo karna hai karo, that's fine, but give us something as well." Middle class question in this entire 10 years budget paradox was not कि आप नीचे क्या दे रहे हो, उनका क्वेश्चन था कि आप मुझे क्या दे रहे हो, ये भी तो बताओ ना.